Okay, this is the third part, I think? Maybe? Okay, it doesn't matter. Um, this is back we're back with the dragon's tongue, and hey, my mic is green, like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are green. Not really, they're not green anymore. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny that it's green now. But now we're getting on to the characters, and I'm just gonna be honest, like, if you like, for those people who have already watched the synopsis and the dinosaur part, where I talk about the dinosaurs and the synopsis, um, I think you can already tell that I don't really care for the characters. The characters really didn't have any sway on me. That being that I didn't even remember any of their names, like, except for Henry. And the characters were just nothing burgers, I guess. The only character that I really did have a kind of interest in was the millionaire dude, and I'll talk about that in a bit because I have a whole segment I want to do on that bullshit. But the rest of the characters though were just not very interesting to me. The female character was cool in the way that she was a mercenary and everything like that, but like again feels just kind of empty. They didn't go totally girl boss with her, so I kind of like that, but like they still went to it to a point where it was kind of annoying. And then the rest of the characters were the same amount of annoying, where it was like, they're mercenaries. You don't push us around. Hey, rich kid, we're gonna push you around. Like, that's kind of what it felt like. Again, I'll talk about that in another part, but like, they were just like mercenaries who find things, and then the only character that I thought was a little bit endearing was the Henry guy, who was the kind of the dinosaur nerd. He kind of told them everything about the dinosaurs. And like the only reason why I even kind of liked this character a little bit was because his reaction to seeing dinosaurs is that of a giddy child, which is very much like refreshing. Oh my god, I got something in my eye. It's probably my hair. Or my finger. But the only character, like, I've kind of gotten tired of the whole in awe of the dinosaurs. I like That's been done to death, right? Where it's like they did that in the first Jurassic Park, and that scene still is like amazing because it was the first one that did it, and it is still amazing. This was Jurassic Park 1, the first movie. This was the first dinosaurs to be brought back to life, and Alan Grant, a paleontologist, and then Ellie Sattler, a paleobotanist, seeing dinosaurs for the first time. Crazy cool. But like after that, it gets pretty just dull. Like they do it in Lost World, where it's like with the Stegosaurus, which at least is a different dinosaur, but it like like they even make a joke about it. Like Ian Malcolm is like, yeah, it's ooh and ahs at first, and then it's running and screaming, and like that is true. The dinosaurs like being all like, "Oh wow, they're so cool and majestic." It's like I would be that way if I did see a dinosaur, don't get me wrong, but I would also be giddy. Like I remember the first time I saw a dinosaur skeleton, and it wasn't even a real skeleton. It was a I guess is it plastic? I don't know. They made it was a fully are accurate dinosaur skeleton of a T-Rex, but it was like at my glacier park or something like that. It was in the visitor center, and like I walked in there and saw that, and I was like in awe, and like I was like so giddy. Even like I was a young teen back then. I was a teenager, and I was still like, oh my gosh, I almost cried. And it wasn't even an actual dinosaur skeleton. It was a replica of a dinosaur skeleton of a T-Rex. Like just that alone, me being that kind of dinosaur nerd, I was like, "Oh my gosh." But in movies, right? It's like, can we not do that? That's one of the things that I actually do like about 65, the dinosaur movie 65, is that that movie has a lot of problems, but I do like it. And one of the things is that there's no point in that movie where they come across a herd of dinosaurs and are like, "Oh my gosh, they're so cool." Like, there's no part where it's like that. It is just them trying to get back to their ship, get back to their planet, while dinosaurs are freaking about to tear them to shreds. Like that was nice that there wasn't this shock and awe moment. So that was cool. And like in this film, I like that even though the rest of the characters are kind of like, yeah, that's kind of cool. The mercenaries have seen probably a lot of shit in their day. That's probably pretty awestruck kind of stuff, right? And it's like, oh wow, but like they're not stunned to silence like in every other fucking Jurassic Park movie. Like we got this in every other movie has got to do this shit where they see a herbivore dinosaur and they're like, wow. In this movie there wasn't any of that. The closest thing was Henry, and he was more giddy than he was in shock and awe. He was like, whoo, I can't wait to touch him. I want to go and see him. Like, and that was kind of cool. Again, number one, it was refreshing, and number two, it felt very realistic where it was like he was transported back to his childhood seeing dinosaurs and everything, and like I thought that was really cool and somewhat endearing. And the only thing, when I touch that, I rock the rock the webcam. Oh, God, that stuff makes me want to burp. Anyways, the only other thing that is kind of is the only the thing that kind of stands out is the boyfriend father relationship. Like I said in the synopsis, the boyfriend's kind of starts out like a lazy bum. He won't take his like it's his turn to like man the boat, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so tired." And the dad's like looking at his daughter like, "Mhm." And she's like, "Don't say anything, dad." And it's like, "Bitch, make your boyfriend pull his own ass." Like, Jesus Christ. Made me mad. Um, instantly made me mad. Instantly made me hate that character. So much so, I was rooting for him to die. But like, he kind of pulls his weight at the end of the movie. I do like a good redemption arc, and like this was fairly good, even though it was still it was a little bit cheesy, but it was okay. And the whole point was that like throughout their journeys, the boyfriend proves that he is like worthy of his daughter. He's a bit of a goofball, and he makes jokes. God, he was a comedy character. I hate fucking comedy characters in a movie. Excuse me, in a setting, even in any other setting, like people in themselves have a sense of humor, right? Where it's like everybody kind of has a sense of humor. In movies where it is simply one character that is bringing all the comedy, it just takes me out of the film. It's like no other characters are making jokes, no other characters are doing this funny slapstick shit. When one character does it, it just makes me hate that character because it's like, what are you doing here? You're just a comedy character, and I hate comedy characters. When you want to do comedy in a movie, everybody has to be somewhat funny. Everyone has to be kind of pulling their own jokes, right? Like in the original Jurassic Park, there were almost every character in there had a funny joke, right? Where they had a funny joke where it was like, all this, all that. Like every character, I'm pretty sure, had a funny joke. Even Muldoon had a couple funny parts, right? Where he's like, I believe they should all be killed and stuff like that. And he's going on his rant about the velociraptors, and he does that thing where it's like locking mechanism. Like there's a whole, like even the most serious character, which I would say is Muldoon, is like he even makes a couple parts that are kind of funny in the movie, right? And then there's Nedry, who is of course pretty silly, but he's a very serious character in the way that he affects the plot. Like he literally is the one that kind of kickstarts the whole thing because he turns off the system to get the embryos. Like it's a whole thing, and like every character, even Ellie Sattler makes a joke, right, where she's like, what is it, the thing, God creates dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs, God creates man, man creates dinosaurs, God kills man, and women's like, women, dinosaurs eat man, women inherit their earth, which is a really funny line. And the two boys are like, like it's a pretty funny part, like that even the female character even like cracks a joke, right? Everybody's funny. Have you ever had a friend group where there was that one person who never cracked a joke? Like, or there was only one character that cracked a joke. Like, I'm even saying character because that's what it feels like. It's like you have a comedy character in a show where no one else does comedy. It's just going to look stupid. Like, and that's what I felt with this boyfriend character. He was just dumb. I just wanted to crush his little head and rip it off like the freaking zombies from 20 years later. Like, I was just mad every time he was on screen. And like, again, I said, his redemption arc is good, but I just wish he had more character than just, I'm funny character. I go pee-pee standing up. Like, it was just so stupid. And like, I hate characters like that. So like, but the going away from the trying to put aside the comedy part, he was an okay character. It was just the comedy part. And like, again, right off the bat, bad energy I got from him. But again, he makes up for it. He has this whole redemption thing where he literally jumps in the mosasaur, Spinosaurus infested water to save the guy's daughter. And he's like, he does a lot of good shit. And he's like he pulls his weight. You know, he ends up showing the dad that he can pull his weight and that he does care about his daughter. And at the end of it, the father's like, yeah, okay, you're cool in my book. And I thought that was very neat. I thought that was a very nice kind of like bonding thing in the movie. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot in this movie. I didn't care for any of the daughters. The older daughter was basically just set dressing. Like, she was only a catalyst for the boyfriend to be a character in there, which again, I like the boyfriend character and I like that dynamic, but there's nothing, the older daughter, who is the boyfriend's girlfriend, doesn't do anything. Like, the only thing she does is she falls off the boat. And she's the one that's like, the billionaire guy's a bad guy, he tried to kill me, which again, we'll get to that later. But like, the whole thing of being like, her being the boyfriend's girlfriend and the dad's daughter is like, it just kind of went nowhere. There's no part where the daughter like comforts her father or her little sister. There's no part, I don't even know if she says anything, mentions that her little sister befriended a dinosaur. Like, I can't remember her ever even mentioning that. Like, I don't remember anything. Just a boring kind of character. The little girl, again, like I said in the dinosaur part of the dinosaur episode that I did, I do like that she has this whole trauma thing she has to get over. So that was kind of cool, but it was not, character-wise, I didn't really care for her a whole lot. She's just a little girl who has Twizzlers all the time, and that made her befriend a dinosaur and overcome her trauma and shit. Father, again, also a boring character. Literally, his only character was that he doesn't like the boyfriend, and that he's understanding enough to be like, give him a chance when he redeems himself, which is cool, but like, again, he doesn't do anything. The main female character in this movie, that's the mercenary girl, doesn't really ever do anything. All she does is I guess she's maybe got the hots for the Henry Dino Nerd guy, and they're kind of like co-conspiring where they're like, you're working for this billionaire guy. I am too. I say we should take the blood stuff and give it to everybody instead of let the billionaire siphon it off to millionaires, and then no one can get it. And this whole thing, and it's like, okay, that's kind of something, but again, it's very surface level. There's nothing that makes them characters. And then her and her best friend, who is the captain of the ship, her and him have this conversation, and it took me out of the film. It was so boring. They have this part where they go in the ship and they're sitting on the couches and they're talking about their traumas as mercenaries. It's like, you're mercenaries! Shit happens! And there's a whole thing where the guy, her friend, the captain dude, lost a kid or something like that. So the whole movie with the littler sister, the littler daughter, he's always like, I will never let anything happen to you. It's like, okay, but they also, remember when I talked about the synopsis part, they split up the sailboat family and the mercenary family twice in this movie. There's no time for these characters. Literally, the only reason why the captain character even has this whole thing where he's got to protect the child is because he lost a child. There's no part where it's like he bonds with the little girl or anything. It's not like in Jurassic Park 1 where Alan Grant is all, I don't like children. And then he gets thrown in a situation where he has to protect these children and he ends up bonding with them. And by the end of the movie, they're curled up next to him. Like, that's character development. This is just a guy who has trauma because he lost a kid or a kid died or something and he couldn't save them and he's like, I won't ever let anything happen to you. It's like you're only saying that because of their age, not because you actually care about this child, which like it's just surface level. It's surface level character writing. I don't know what else to say. And like when he is talking with the main woman character in the boat, I was so like, oh my god, when is this gonna end? It was so boring. Okay, I'm trying to be a writer. My goal is to be a writer. My goal is to be able to write books and be able to sustain me that way. YouTube is kind of a side thing. I've always kind of wanted to do YouTube in a way because I like talking about shit. But I'm trying to be a writer. I've been writing since I was young. I love writing. I love creating worlds and stories and stuff. And one thing that I have always remembered is that don't don't make if your characters if your characters don't matter, the whole story doesn't matter, right? So like that is why a lot of movies try to put this big emphasis on making the characters matter because if the human audience can't identify with the human characters in the movie, they're not going to care what happens to the human characters. Hence, nothing matters. The suspense of oh the characters might die is zilch. There's like it's like a flat line on a heart monitor. That's the audience right now. If the audience doesn't care about the characters, then all the suspense, all the they might die scenarios, flatline. If you make the characters interesting though, and you make the audience care about them, boop, boop, boop. Like that's one thing I've learned from writing. You have to make and like that sounds like everyone knows that, right? They're like, oh, everyone knows that. Of course, you got to care about the characters. But I'm seriously mean it. The biggest example is James Cameron's Avatar. Like that movie has one of the most amazing worlds and world building in it, right? It's an amazing world, this amazing colorful alien world that is just the landscapes are beautiful, the animals are interesting, the way they connect with animals, their culture is amazing. And guess what? Nobody cares because the characters are boring. Like that is how much you have to make your characters interesting. Like James Cameron's Avatar is like a okay movie, but like in he made his characters boring, so his world didn't matter. He had one of the most amazing worlds and it still didn't matter because the human audience couldn't identify with the human characters in it. Like and I could go into a whole rant about why James Cameron fucked up in that scenario by making all the humans bad or whatever. There's a bunch of YouTube analysts who talk about why that's a bad idea. But like my main point is that even Neytiri or what's his name? Uh the Neytiri's mother and father or oh, what's his name? The other guy who was supposed to marry Neytiri. She was like promised him or something like that. Um like even he like these characters we don't care about them. Like we don't care about these characters. The character that had the most like personality in the film was kind of Neytiri, and even still she was just a kind of noble savage trope thing, right? So it's like there's no character. The only person who actually had character was General Quaritch, which is why a lot of people like General Quaritch because he was a great character that was just this kind of super macho kill it with fire dude, and it was just awesome because he was a great character. Like it's just crazy like how much you need to make your characters matter in films. And like people try and do this by making them traumatized. Like I've seen this is a trend that's been trending for a while now, but like instead of making their human characters just humans where they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm this. This is my job. This is this." They just make them the most traumatized babies ever. Like they're trauma babies and it's like, "Oh my gosh, like more trauma. Okay, more trauma. You lost a kid. You lost a husband. Oh, you lost a this, you lost that." Remember in Jurassic Park, there was no trauma characters in that movie. Like, literally, there was no trauma characters. Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, paleontologist, paleobotanist. They kind of have a thing. They're kind of together. You know, it's not really serious, but it's kind of serious enough for them to just be like Ellie, them talking about kids and stuff. And like, and then what do we get? We got Ian Malcolm, a mathematician, or sorry, Ian, chaotician. And then we get the lawyer dude, who's just a lawyer dude. We get Muldoon, who his specialty is animals. He's like hunted animals and shit. We get Lex and Tim, two very typical like kid characters. Lex is a hacker. Tim likes dinosaurs and reading books about dinosaurs, and like we get all these characters. None of them have any fucking trauma shit. They don't go together and they're like talking about their traumas and shit. The trauma is the situation they're in, right? There's one part in the movie where Hammond and Ellie Sattler are talking when the ice cream part where they're eating the ice cream and they're talking about the horrors of what's happening, how Lex and and Alan are out there with the dinosaurs and it's this scary moment and Hammond won't let it go. He's like, next time it'll be better. And she's like, you gotta stop this shit. That's the traumatic part that makes those characters great, is that they're reacting to the present. You can't just make characters sympathetic by being like, oh yeah, they lost somebody and it traumatized them. It's like, stop with the fucking trauma babies. And mind you, don't get me wrong, this is coming from somebody who likes characters with baggage. I do like characters with baggage, people with scars. That does tickle me fancy, but you have to do it right. You can't insert trauma just to make them seem more sympathetic. It's got to come out naturally. And like, again, it's just none of the characters in any of the Jurassic Park films up till I guess this movie maybe is like none of them have this whole thing where they're like, I know what you went through and this, but like it happens in movies all the time, modern movies nowadays, where it's like they have trauma instead of having actual characteristics, they just have trauma, and it's like that's the thing we're supposed to identify with them. There's not anything that they like. There's not any. That's why I'm saying like I think that's why the only character I even remember the name of is Henry, is because he was a dinosaur nerd. He was a dinosaur nerd. He's kind of an activist kind of guy. And like that's it. But he had characteristics outside of being a trauma baby. Like in this movie, that was the worst part about the characters, was that boat scene where it literally, I was rolling my head and my eyes back being like, "Oh my god, like stop." I was like so I was it just made me just be like, ugh, like it was just ugh. Like don't do the whole trauma thing. Like in that respect, the sailboat family was more interesting because they were just a family. But in the trauma that the little girl goes through is caused by the incident on the island. It's not something like, yeah, it's like in Jurassic Park 3 is when they is the only one I can think of where they kind of did this. Oh no, they did it in Jurassic World 2 with the kids, Zach and Gray. Their parents are going through a divorce, so they have to shoehorn that into the movie. Like, this is why you're supposed to feel bad for these characters. This is why they're supposed to have this arc. It's like, have this arc in congruence with the film in a way that makes sense. Like Alan overcoming his kind of like disgust of children makes sense because it's something that's like normal. And at least with the Zach and Gray with the divorce thing, it's like that's something that's relatively normal. Divorce is pretty common. So it's like, okay, but like did we have to have this whole thing where Zach starts crying or Gray starts crying and Zach like, will you shut the fuck up, you little baby? Like, and then we have this whole part where they're in the truck and Zach like, remember when I protected you from the ghosts? Like, we don't need to have all that. You just need to, like, the moment with Zach and Gray with the Jeep was close enough where they're like, remember when we fixed up Grandpa's old Malibu? It shows that once upon a time they did cooperate as brothers. And then when Zach's like, here, take this battery, you're stronger than me. And there's this nice moment there. That's all you had to do. Like, in a way, it's a balance between show don't tell, and like this whole movie, all its characteristics of its characters were a tell thing, where it's like you're traumatized. Okay, I'm so tired of the freaking trauma babies thing. I can't stand it. Um, but anyways, that was most of the characters. There was two other characters that died early on in the film. There was the one guy who was another white man, by the way, um, who was like all about the money. He didn't want to go to the distress call of the sailboat family either, and he was all like gung ho for getting dinosaurs done. He gets yanked right off the bat, by a Spinosaurus, and then the other female crewmate in the ship, she's trying to get like a bag or something like that, and there's this really cool scene where the Spinosaurus kind of like comes up out of the water behind her and is kind of going behind her, and then he disappears behind her, and you just see her kind of wrangling with this bag, and then she just fucking gets yoinked, like, and it's like, she's crying and everything. But again, side characters. And then of course, there's the part with the Quetzalcoatlus, where he like gets, eaten and everything. I talked about that in the last part, and like they were okay characters, but like I don't really remember anything about them. Funny enough, the most memorable thing was their deaths, which I guess is okay if you want to do that. Like if you're going to make a character, if you can't make a character memorable by good writing, make them a good character by making them die in a cool way. I guess like the the one guy, my voice is like I'm dying over here. I might actually do have to split this recording up. Anyway, but like the one guy who's like the money hungry other dude on there, he gets like he's on the side of the boat, and all you see is the Spinosaurus come out of the freaking water and just and chomp him and drag him down, and they're like, "Oh, where'd go? Oh no!" And then of course, like I said, the cool scene where the Spinosaurus comes up behind the one gal. Like at least it was good that they had memorable deaths, because otherwise I would not have remembered them at all. um, and like I said, the other one that the pterosaur eating him like a bird was like awesome and terrifying at the same time. But other than that, nothing really on the characters. Boring. That's what I'm gonna say. Boring. Characters are boring. Um, there was a couple little things that I picked up on. Like I said, the trauma things, the redemption arc for the boyfriend was okay. But like otherwise just boring. And I come to expect that from Jurassic Park films now. But like boring. I don't, let's see if there's anything. Is there anything else here? I'll talk about the villain character because I have a whole thing on him that I want to talk about. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I literally have written down characters didn't really care for them. Henry was a little endearing with his love of dinos, I guess. I like that there's even a little caveat. He's a little endearing, I guess. Like, I'm not even sure. And then, yeah, the writers are trying too hard to make characters sympathetic. It didn't work. The boyfriend subplot was good, but the boy as a character was annoying. Like, that's literally what I have written down for my initial thoughts on the characters. And, like, that still holds true. Boring. Just boring. Just boring. So that was the characters part of Jurassic World Rebirth. Boring, just boring. I didn't really care all that much for them. So, yeah, that was the characters part. On to the other parts.